Hey everyone, welcome to Marketing Ninja Unleashed. Today's episode is the last of season 1, and we're covering why Google Ads can work for service-based businesses, the difference between brand building and lead generation, and why internal communication is really important. Plus, I talk about why having a member of your target audience on your team is a game changer. Hey everyone, welcome back to Marketing Ninja Unleashed. I'm Rena, founder of You and Your Story. And if you made it to episode 8, thank you for being part of this journey. This is the final episode of season 1. But don't worry, I'll be back with season 2 on the 11th of July with even more no-nonsense, real-world marketing advice to help you build your brand and grow your business. But before we wrap up this season, I've got some brilliant stuff to share with you today, especially if you're running or marketing a service-based business. So here's what's coming up in today's episode. How to make Google Ads actually work for service-based businesses, the difference between brand building and lead generation, and why having both is really important, why internal communication is the secret weapon that actually a lot of brands don't even consider. And while I was out and about at an event, I was talking to a person about having someone who represents their target audience on their team. It's an actual game changer. Let's get started with something that I get asked about all the time. Do Google Ads actually work for service-based businesses? The short answer, of course they do, but only if you're doing them right. The thing with service businesses is that you're not usually selling something someone can buy on the spot. You're usually selling trust, a solution, a process. And that means your Google Ads need to do 2 things really well. Number 1, they need to show up at the exact moment that someone is looking for what you offer. Number 2, you need to make it really easy for them to take the next step. It sounds really simple, but you'd be surprised how many people don't get this right. So here's where to start. Step 1, set up conversion tracking. If you're running Google Ads and you haven't set up proper tracking on your website, you need to pause your campaign right now. You need to know what actions people are taking once they land on your site. Otherwise, you're pretty much flying blind. For service-based businesses, the most important events to track usually include form submissions. Form submissions are usually contact forms or inquiry forms. Make sure you've got a thank you page so you know what to track. Phone number clicks. Yes, you can track all of those tap to call buttons. Downloadable documents. So if you've got any PDFs, guides, brochures, booking requests, even time on the site or scrolling on key service pages is important. Once you set up these conversions in Google Tag Manager or directly on your site platform, link them to your Google Ads account. That way, you can see which keywords and ads are actually leading to action, not just traffic. Step 2, be really clear about what you want your customers to do. When someone clicks on your ad, don't make them think. If your goal is to get leads, put the contact form front and center. Make sure your call to action is clear and confident. A bad example is learn more about our services. A better example is book your free consultation today. It stresses urgency and is very clear. Step 3, localize and segment your campaigns. If you're a local service business, use location targeting. Don't waste your budget showing ads to people 200 miles away who are never going to become your customers. Segment your ad groups based on the different services that you offer. And write ads that actually speak specifically to those services. So yes, Google Ads can work for service-based businesses, but they won't work unless you're tracking the right conversions, giving them clear next steps, and answering your audience's pain points. Branding versus lead generation, and why you need both. This is something that often gets misunderstood, the difference between branding and lead generation. There are too many businesses that put all of their energy into one and completely forget about the other. But to build a brand that grows consistently and sustainably, you need both. So what is lead generation? Lead generation gives you short-term results. This is the stuff that drives action, like your Google Ads, your email campaigns, your webinars, landing pages. It's about getting people into your sales funnel and turning them into leads and customers. It's measurable, it's performance driven, and when it's done well, it brings in business. But here's the problem. If all you ever do is lead generation, you'll always be chasing, always discounting, always one campaign away from panic mode. Because people don't just want a solution, they want a brand they can really trust. That's where branding comes in. It gives you long-term growth. It's how people feel about your business. It's your tone of voice, your values, your story. It's what people say about you when you're not in the room. Branding is the reason someone clicks on your ad instead of your competitors, even when your offer is more expensive. It builds recognition, loyalty, and trust. To give you an example to explain the difference, branding is like going to the gym. It takes time, but it will transform your long-term health. Lead generation is like a coffee. It gives you a quick boost, but it wears off fast. So you definitely need both. You can build your brand while you're generating leads, and over time, your brand will start doing the lead gen for you. And that's when the magic happens. Moving on to why internal communication is key. We spend so much time obsessing over our customer comms, email flows, social posts, brand messaging, that we sometimes forget about the people on the inside, your staff, the people who are living and breathing your brand every single day. Now, I've seen this time and time again. A business will launch a new campaign or a rebrand or a big promotion, and their staff don't even know what's going on. They're not informed, they're not aligned, and as a result, all of your messages are disjointed and the delivery just falls flat. Your internal team should be your biggest brand advocates, but they can't be that if they don't know the mission, the message, or the why behind what you're doing. That's why things like a brand day can be incredibly powerful. Picture this. You get your entire team in a room, from senior leadership to part-time admin, and you talk them through what the brand stands for, what's changing and why, what role they play in delivering that experience, and how they can help shout about it. It doesn't have to be flashy or expensive. It just needs to be honest and inclusive. Because when people feel involved, they take ownership. And when they take ownership, you get buy-in, passion, excitement. That kind of energy is contagious, and it shows up in your marketing whether you realize it or not. At a previous workplace, I ran a brand session with a colleague, and we had a great time explaining what our brand was about, introducing our brand guidelines. We even had a quiz at the end and gave out sweets. It was the one moment that made me realize I have really questionable throwing skills, especially after nearly knocking out a colleague with a bag of Skittles. Having a member of your target audience on your team, or at least somebody that deeply understands them, is so important. Let me explain. So many marketing decisions are made in boardrooms by people who are so far removed from the people they're trying to sell to. And then you end up with campaigns that technically tick all the right boxes, but completely miss the mark. Because they don't sound like the customer, they don't feel like the customer, and most importantly, they don't actually speak to the customer. Here's the difference when you've got somebody on the team who actually gets the audience. They can spot tone issues straight away. You'll instantly be told that's not how we talk. They know the references and cultural nuances that will resonate. And they can tell you what's going to work, and more importantly, what's going to fall flat. Even better, they will challenge assumptions. And that's what keeps your marketing honest, fresh, and relevant. So whether it's your social media manager, your copywriter, or even a junior exec, give space to those voices to critique your campaigns. So if your product is aimed at mothers, make sure you've got somebody who has kids on your team, for example. They're the ones that are closest to the people you're trying to reach. And that's what will make your marketing so much more powerful. Before we wrap up this episode, just a quick reminder. If you're running Google Ads, make sure you do it right. I'll add a link to my website where I'll explain the steps that I mentioned earlier. If you want to get your team more engaged in your brand, host a brand day. Keep it simple and keep it human. If you're building a marketing team, think about who you're marketing to and find people who live and breathe that world. Honestly, this season has been such a joy to create. What started out as a really simple idea to share some marketing tips and stories has turned into something I'm really, really proud of. And here's what we covered over the last 8 episodes. The importance of knowing your audience, why authenticity always beats perfection, the psychology of communication and personality types, why your Google business listing matters, how introverts can own the narrative, the power of staff-led marketing, how you can combine creativity and AI, and how you can get the best out of your Google Ads, plus so much more. If you've listened to one episode or all 8, thank you. really. And if there's one message that I want to leave you with, it's this. Marketing doesn't have to be overwhelming. You don't need to do everything. You just need to focus on the stuff that moves the needle for your business and feels true to you. We're taking a short break before season 2, which launches on the 11th of July. In the meantime, I'll still be sharing tips, tools, and updates on LinkedIn and Instagram. So make sure you're following You and Your Story on both platforms if you're not already. And if you've got a topic you want me to cover in the next season, or you'd like to be a guest, just drop me a message. I'd love to hear from you. Until then, remember, You and Your Story is here to make sure your story is the one the world won't forget. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in July for season 2 of Marketing Ninja Unleashed.
This has been a Monkey Pants Productions podcast.